What's up, everybody? In this episode, we're reviewing a product that dates back centuries and may save your life. Brian Kerber here with Take Aim TV. In this episode, we're reviewing the Recon Medical Gen 4 Tourniquet. Now, tourniquets are becoming more and more common to see in the field or at the range. Guys are either carrying them because they think they're tactical and they look cool on their vest, or they're actually carrying because they know they can save a life. Not all tourniquets are created equal. Some look great, but just plain don't work, and some are cheap knockoffs. And for the guys out there who say, I'm just going to pull my belt off and make a makeshift tourniquet, yeah, right, I'd love to see you try. The most common tourniquet I see are the Castile Tourniquets that have the Velcro strap and the windlass that's used to crank down pressure to cut off blood flow from arterial bleed. Years ago, I was in the market for my first tourniquet and I came across Recon Medical. Their tourniquet was a little different than others. It had an aluminum windlass, which seemed to me to be a lot stronger than a plastic one that I've seen in other brands. It also has a thumb hole, which makes it easier to grip and pull that strap if your hands are bloody or wet or slippery, or you just need to get a better grip on it, especially for one-handed operation. A couple other selling points for me is that they had a lot of good solid reviews, so I knew it wasn't going to be a cheap knockoff, and their price point was just right, so it was affordable where I could buy more than one. Do me a favor, comment below if you carry tourniquet or what other life-saving devices you carry every day. I'm not going to claim to be any kind of medical expert, so what I did is I took this tourniquet over to a local combat veteran and got his opinion on it. All right, we're here at the firing pin. I'm here with Pat. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Pat. I'm one of the lead instructors here at the firing pin. I'm also a U.S. Army veteran. Spent 6 years as a combat engineer with 1st Infantry Division, and I got a chance to deploy twice during Operation Iraqi Freedom, once in 06 and once in 08. And I'm also, combat lifesaver trained, okay, and all of those good things.
I appreciate all that. So I showed you the Recon Medical Tourniquet. Let's talk a little bit about tourniquets in general. And what's your thoughts on this one, maybe versus others?
So the tourniquet that I have the most exposure to and I'm the most familiar with is something like this Blue Training CAT Combat Application Tourniquet from North American Rescue. Very good product. This one, of course, as I mentioned, is the Blue Training one. So we need to differentiate that. This one is the one that you would use for practice with this sort of thing, whereas this one by Recon Medical is the real deal. Okay, these are a one-use item, so we don't want to be practicing and training with our real-world application tourniquets, okay? Something like this blue one is what you're going to want to use for training. Now, with that in mind, this North American Rescue one is very similar to the Recon Medical in the design. It's got the red tab, so you can easily find the end to access that, and for staging, it's got your white time indicator tape that you can write on with a red or black Sharpie to make sure that you indicate what time the actual tourniquet was applied. And this specific one from Recon Medical, which I really like, has the aluminum windlass as opposed to the plastic windlass that we're more familiar with on the North American Rescue one. It's also really inexpensive, right around $17 on the website. So that's a really attractive feature of these guys as well, is that not only are they really well made with some reinforced buckles here and the aluminum windlass, but they also are relatively inexpensive. So really good on Recon Medical for making these. And they come in this long-term use, long-term storage package, which we recommend taking the product out and actually staging it for preparedness.
The Gen 4 is a new molded over aluminum clip designed to be stronger and will perform better in extreme heat, cold, rain, or underwater application. Recon Medical did brake strength testing on the new Gen 4 and it reached up to 1,500 pounds before it broke, and it wasn't even the new clip that broke, it was the strap that finally gave under that kind of pressure.
So tourniquets, as you know, I think they're really important because, if you're going to just navigate through the world that we live in, right, there's a high degree of likelihood that you or somebody else is going to need some kind of medical treatment at some point in time, right? Whether it's a car accident that you pass on the road, whether it's you and or a loved one, find yourself in some compromised situation, whatever it is, the degree of likelihood that we're going to need medical is way higher than the degree of likelihood that we'll ever need to access our handgun and use that, right? So with that in mind, I think that tourniquets are a great tool to have. I carry one regularly, and I encourage other people to do the same.
A lot of us in the 2A community get really caught up with having the latest sights, the new pistol, whatever's out that's, gimmicky or new, we want it. But what we often overlook is what kind of situations we are more likely to encounter. Freak accidents happen all the time, and if you have a device and you know how to use it that can stop blood loss, it is important to do it. They can be put anywhere where you can be within reach. And I want to give an example. There was a tragedy in Las Vegas, the mass shooting, where a gunman was shooting from a hotel building. Now, if you had a pistol on you, not much you could do in that kind of situation. And I'd still want to have it, but if you had a tourniquet on you, you could do a lot. You could save lives if you are prepared and if you know how.
While these tools are really valuable to have, ultimately your best bet is to seek out some training, right? The American Red Cross has put on a number of Stop the Bleed clinics in different localities, and I'm sure you can find something of that nature near you, as well as other sources for medical training as well. So it's one thing to have the tools and to practice, but it's another thing to actually get expert advice on all of these things, okay? When we talk about applying tourniquets, you have to understand that we're talking about applying tourniquets onto limbs. So learn how to recognize the signs of life-threatening bleeding and what that means when we're talking about major blood vessels being severed as opposed to something more on the surface, okay? When we're applying tourniquets, general rules are to apply them as high as possible and to apply them tightly enough to staunch all blood flow from whatever is bleeding. So make sure that when you're applying these things, you're using pressure as you're applying the tourniquet to stop the bleeding as soon as humanly possible.
It's going to be extremely uncomfortable for anyone you're applying this to. This is going to be a life or death situation, so you want to make sure you know what you're doing.
One of the most important things that we can do when we get our tourniquet set up and ready to go is to stage it to make sure that it's actually ready for use. So we want to make sure that we have the red end available for quick deployment of our loop, so that we can go ahead and get that onto our victim, and then we want to make sure that we have access to our windlass so that once we get our loop torqued down and cinched on, we can go ahead and start applying some torque until that bright red bleeding stops. So make sure that your tourniquets are staged, guys, and properly prepared for use, because they're no good to you when they're in the package.
Pat mentioned something extremely important when we were talking, and that's prepping your tourniquet. If you're bleeding out or someone you know is bleeding out, you're not going to be threading the Velcro through this clip in a stressful situation, especially if you're the one who's hurt and you're doing it yourself. So you want these ready to go. I actually saw an Amazon review where the guy was complaining that when he ordered it, it wasn't ready to go. And I honestly don't think companies should send them ready to go, because you need to know how to use them properly. So it's good that you get it out yourself, you prep it yourself, undo it a couple times, keep re-prepping it so you know how they work and how to get it onto yourself. Buy a couple of these, buy a trainer one. Recon Medical sells them in different colors. They have blue, they have orange. I like the orange one. The orange one I like because it's easy to see. Mark it as a trainer, and that's the one you should use to practice putting it on limbs, cranking it down, getting used to that uncomfort. Just do it safely, and you want to make sure you know how to use these. Special thanks to Pat and everyone over at the Firing Pin for talking to us about tourniquets. If you're ever looking for guns, ammo, or anything firearm related or a place to shoot, check out the Firing Pin in Bergen, New York. Also, I want to say thank you to Recon Medical for sending us the Gen 4 tourniquet for this review. I want to clarify something. This is not a paid-for review. We do not do paid-for reviews. There's no rules on if they send one of these to us that we have to say something positive. Everything we say today is real. I've already purchased 2 of their Gen 3s in the past. I plan on getting another Gen 4 in the future. They're great tourniquets. They're affordable. It's something you should have in multiple places. I keep one in the truck, easy access. I keep one on my range bag. I keep one on my nightstand on my SnapTech wrist mag. That way, no matter where I am, there's a life-saving device nearby in case you need it. Thank you so much for watching Take Aim TV. I really appreciate all of you. If you could please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Carbon TV and Instagram. Remember, stay aware, carry often, and we'll see you next time.